Perfect. Well, good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on where you're located at today. Wanted to thank everyone for taking the time to join us. We've got a great presentation today, but before we get started, I just wanted to introduce myself really quickly. My name is Robert Hancock. I'm part of the strategic business development team here at MarcomCentral and at Rico. Today, we're going to be taking you through and sharing a little bit about our new BI tool, which is Tableau, and how its utilization with MarcomCentral is going to add some really great experience for the users. And we're going to take a deeper dive into that with Rachel here in a moment. But before we go any further, I just want to make kind of a couple housekeeping announcements. We will be having a Q&A session at the end, so you can go ahead and place your questions into the chat or into the QA portion. We do have the mics muted today. And we will also be providing you with a recording of the webinar following the event today. But without any further ado, I'd like to go ahead and introduce our presenter today. Rachel Arrington is going to be chatting with us today. She brings just over a decade of experience with MarcomCentral. At MarcomCentral and Rico, she's a product owner. So in that role, she's doing a lot of cross-team collaboration. And the idea behind that is she needs input from everyone, right? She and her team are working to deliver features and functionality to improve the customer experience. She's also got a background in managing enterprise level client implementations and obviously consulting on different SaaS products, BI, marketing automation. Some examples there would be Salesforce, Marketo, and then what we're going to be talking about today, which is Tableau. So without further ado, Rachel, I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to you.
All right, thanks, Robert. Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel. I'm excited to guide you through our session on BI today, where we'll explore how BI reporting can empower your decision-making and performance analysis for your portal. So I'm going to, I just want to turn my camera on briefly to say hi, but I am going to turn it off during the presentation for bandwidth purposes. All right, so here's a quick outline of what we'll be covering today. First, we'll get started with a brief overview, then go into some key steps and insights for implementing BI, some best practices when setting it up, and then we'll review the dashboards and do a brief demo. So as we move forward, I wanted to start with a quote. Without data, you're just another person with an opinion. So too often, businesses make decisions based on intuition or experience alone, rather than leveraging the power of data. So we are here to help you use our BI reporting so you don't have to rely on opinions alone. You have access to high-level analytics that are easy to understand and provide actionable insights into your portal usage. So you can quickly identify high and low-performing content and make well-informed strategic decisions without the hassle of sifting through overwhelming amounts of data. As much as I appreciate a good spreadsheet, it is really nice when you have ready-to-go graphs that do the heavy lifting for you. So the dashboards, you can easily filter them based on BI groups, asset groups, a date range, active and inactive products. You can easily export the dashboards to Excel, CSV, or PDF. And then our BI reporting is now powered by Tableau, which is also owned by Salesforce. So we are really excited about our new provider, Tableau, and their features. They are known for their advanced data visualization as well as customizable dashboards. The customizable dashboard piece was important to us because we would like to offer custom dashboards to our clients in the future. They also have advanced analytics, which is really neat. They support predictive analytics, trend analysis, and statistical modeling. So now to get started using BI, there is some setup involved. So first, your Marcom rep needs to enable BI on your behalf, and then there is some setup on your side. So you do view BI through the portal. It is enabled at the user group level. So you will need to enable BI for a user group. All users within that group will have access to BI. You also need to create BI groups for your users and asset groups for your assets, which we'll get into shortly. And then enable customizable assets for BI if you want to track what your users are actually entering in the forms. So BI groups, they allow you to segment your data in a way that's beneficial for your company. They are different than user groups. The user groups in the admin tool are based on permissions and what users can see in the portal. BI groups allow you to filter your data based on these report groups. So for example, you may have user groups set up based on line of business, but you may want your report group set up by region. So you can see what your West Coast users are doing versus your East Coast users. We do recommend that every user is assigned to one BI group. If they are not assigned a BI group, you will see null as a BI group filter. So if you see that, that just means that there are users that have not been assigned a group. You can set up your BI groups in the admin tool or by using the user bulk op spreadsheet. We do typically recommend trying to have less than 10 BI groups because then your data may not be presented in a meaningful way. However, there is a balance between groups and users. So if you have, say, thousands of users, then you may need to have more BI groups versus someone who has hundreds of users. So some examples could be by region, department, or line of business. So like BI groups, asset groups let you organize your products into meaningful segments. Every asset should be assigned to an asset group. Assets should not belong to more than one asset group. They are set up via the admin tool or product bulk ops. Some examples could be by product type, so brochures, emails, flyers, campaigns, line of business. You want to make sure that you discuss internally what makes the most sense so that the data is presented to you in a meaningful way. So next up, we'll take a look at the dashboards. We do have 4 main categories that our dashboards are grouped into. Today, we will be focusing on the first 3, which are asset usage, brand control, asset customization. So the first one we'll be looking at is the asset usage category. So these dashboards provide insights to help improve your portal's content. So you can quickly log in and see which materials are performing best and which assets are not being used. So for example, say you just launched a campaign promoting a new financial product. To measure its effectiveness, you need clear visibility into which campaign assets are being used and who is engaging with them. When the assets were created in Marcom, you set up an asset group named, say, Jensen April campaign and assigned all assets for that campaign to that asset group. So this allows you to be able to filter your BI reporting by this group so you can see the usage specifically for this campaign. So here I did filter by my April campaign. I've just zoomed in here on the used assets and unused assets. So I can quickly see the total assets in my campaign and if any were not used. Luckily for this campaign, all the assets were used. However, if there were assets that were not used, you can click on this plus icon and get a list of those assets. Moving along, we can also look at the asset usage by type report to see which materials most resonated with my users. So for this campaign, I can see that my non-customized assets are the most heavily used. However, HTML and email were also right behind. So this can help me see what types of assets I may want to focus on adding to any future campaigns. I can also see which distribution methods are most popular. So here it looks like my users did download the assets the most. However, print was also pretty popular. However, if you did see a big difference in print and download, and you saw that most users are downloading the content, this could tell you that you may want to focus on adding more digital content for your next campaign. I can also see my top assets by group and the top assets by usage. So this one is filtered by the Jensen April campaign. So I do only see one asset group here. However, maybe I want to see how this campaign performed to a previous campaign. So I could update my filters to select both and then compare the usage. On the right, I can see the top assets and their usage for this campaign. So these 2 graphs help you identify the content that users engage with the most. So this allows you to determine whether adjustments to your marketing strategy are needed, whether that means creating more content for popular categories or refining your approach. All right, so next up is brand control. So this set of dashboards offers insights on user adoption and engagement. It helps you identify which user groups are interacting with the portal and can reveal insights like regional trends, department participation, or individual user engagement. So if we look at the user login and asset usage over time graph, it allows you to compare login activity and usage. So here you can see that my logins and usage did increase in April. So I know that we ran a campaign to drive users to the portal for April. So this helps show that the marketing we did worked. So maybe we want to use the same strategy for future campaigns. Other insights it could tell you are if you see a lot of logins, but not a lot of usage. Maybe users are having difficulty finding what they need. So it can really help you create actionable items to look into. Next, under brand control, we have the user performance dashboard. And here we can see our top users by login activity and by asset usage. So they should be similar because you'd assume if someone is logging in a lot, they should also have a lot of usage. So this can help you identify your top users and any trends. Are the top users in the same business unit or branch or region? Maybe most of them are in the same business unit. Do we need to add more relevant content for other groups that may not be utilizing the system as much? So another dashboard I wanted to point out is the users with no activity. Typically, we do like to use the BI reporting to get a high-level overview of the portal's performance. However, sometimes it's important to view a spreadsheet type report to get more granular details. So this report allows you to select a multi-month period and get a list of users that have not logged into the portal at all during that time frame. So you can pinpoint who you need to follow up with and maybe offer additional training or see why they may not be using the system. Right, so next we have the asset customization dashboards. If you've ever wondered what your users are actually customizing on a template, this is the place to look. So these dashboards show you the form data entered or selected by portal users on customized assets. So these are your version, variable, email, PowerPoint, HTML, and job direct products. In order to get this data, you do need to enable the product for business intelligence. The quickest way is to use the product bulk up spreadsheet, but this is something your Marcom rep can also assist you with. As we go into this dashboard, we can look at the asset customization by type chart and see the percentage of text and image template fields that are used in my customizable assets. For my portal, you can see that my templates primarily have text that is customizable. We can also see the top 10 text customizations. So these are what your users are inputting into those text fields, as well as the top image customization. Here, I decided to filter by my most popular asset, the co-branded brochure, to determine which images resonated most with my users. So looking at the top 10 image customizations, the bank building image stands out as the most frequently selected image. Digging in deeper, I noticed that the bank building is the default image in the form. So this raises the question, are users actively browsing all available image options? If not, perhaps we don't need to dedicate as many resources to maintaining a large image library. Instead, we could focus on other priorities or refresh the library with more engaging visuals, or swap out the default image and see if this pattern continues. These insights reveal that users, for some reason, are not using a wide variety of the available images. So understanding these trends can help us determine which images are truly being used and why others may not be resonating. All right, so now I'm going to go into BI or go into our demo portal, Jensen, to highlight some of the key pieces of functionality. All right, so how you access BI through your portal is dependent on your branding. And so here in Jensen, I can access it through my side navigation. By default in the portals, there usually is a hamburger menu in the upper left-hand corner, and that is how you can access it. But here I'm going to click on Analytics, and it opens up a new window with your BI reporting. So it does default to the asset usage category and the overall asset utilization dashboard. So for I am just going to focus on this main dashboard, but all of the dashboards do function in a similar manner. You also should see your logo in the upper at the top of the page as well. And then when you're ready to close BI, you can click on this close BI option. So moving along the top, over on the right-hand side, we have the option to download the dashboards. So you can download as PDF or also export to Excel. When you do click on these icons, it does give you the option to download this view, or you can also select specific reports from this dashboard as well to download. So it does give you quite a few options. And then we have the filters are at the top of the page. So they are more simplified than they previously were if you were familiar with BI with our last provider. So we do have the start date, the end date does default to today's date. We also have the active and inactive filter. So these are for your products, the asset group, asset name, and the BI group. So down here, we do have the used and unused assets. So again, I wanted to point out the unused assets. So previously, if you were familiar, you were only able to get a list of unused assets for 1 month at a time. Now, if you do select a multi-month period, we'll show you the assets that were not used at all during that entire period. So if you select, say, January and February, it shows all the assets that were not downloaded or ordered at all during January and February. So hopefully this will help you see which assets are not being used so you can either revamp them or remove them from the portal. And then to get that list, you just click on the plus icon and it will bring you to the unused assets where you can download as well. And then in the example that I wanted to show, so you can also filter it by the campaign. So here I'm going to select the Jensen April campaign, and I can see that my dashboards update to just show the relevant information for my April campaign. And then to clear them out, you can click on the filter and it will clear them out. So now moving down to the asset usage by type. If you wanted to see which assets actually made up the customized portion, I can click on customize, and then we can see this link that says detailed report, see detailed report by asset. If I click on this, it brings me to the detailed report by asset, where it shows me all of the assets for the customized slice of that pie chart. So I can dig in deeper and see the assets as well as their usage during the specified time period. And then moving over to the right, we also have the asset usage by distribution method and the view by feature over on the right. So if I wanted to see the assets that made up the download portion, I can click on download and we'll see over here that this view by feature does update to reflect the asset name, the assets that make up the download portion. If you were familiar with our last provider, we did have it was called drill into. So if that was a feature that you used, this replaces that. So we did update the view by or that have data points here that we thought were relevant. But if you happen to use the drill by feature and you see a data point that you used to drill down into further to get more details, please reach out and let us know, and we can always look into adding that. So again, I can select download. If I wanted to see the asset names that made up that download portion, I can see them here. I can also see the asset ID, the product type, as well as the SKU. And then moving down for the asset usage by asset group, top 10 assets by usage, we also have the view by chart over on the right. So again, if I wanted to see which assets made up this brochure group, I can click on brochure. Over here, I can see the assets that are a part of that brochure asset group, and then also get the individual usage for those assets. So again, the behavior is consistent across all the dashboards. So rather than going into each one individually, I wanted to focus on just some of the key navigational aspects apply to all of them. So I do want to encourage you to log in and check them out. And now I wanted to open it back up for questions. So if you see, we have a FAQ section, or the Q&A. So please feel free to type any questions into the Q&A.
Perfect. Thank you, Rachel. We actually did have one individual earlier, but they did email me a question. I'm communicating with them one-on-one, but I thought this might be a question for the group. And it was, what if we don't have a power user of Tableau in our organization? Is this something that Marcom can help us with the setup of the reports and the analytics?
So the reports are already all set up for you. There's no setup involved for creating those graphs and reports in Tableau.
Perfect. And I'm not seeing any other questions in the chat or the Q&A at the moment. One item I just mentioned in the beginning that some of you may have joined a little bit later. We did record today's session, so we will be sending that out. I'm sure there might be some questions that come out of that. But if nobody has any other questions today, we want to thank you for your time. We hope you found the session informative. If you do have any questions or you feel it's something you want to kind of maybe go over in a little bit more detail one-on-one, feel free to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to set up a time to chat with you. But other than that, everyone have a wonderful rest of the day. Have a great rest of your week.
Yeah, thank you everyone for joining us today.
Take care, everyone.